Away they go. Everything is automatic.
And away we go for our 4-game championship finals. This is David Billings, 19 years old, and the butterflies are gone as David Billings throws a perfect strike to start out our championship 4-game match. Now, what we need to explain here is because it is a double elimination tournament, J.P. Muller must win this match in order to keep things going. If David Billings wins this match because he is undefeated all the way through all of the elimination matchup finals, then he will win the tournament. If JP wins this 4-game match, then they'll go 4 more to determine the champion. And he leaves a 10-pin to start out in the first frame of the first game.
It'll be interesting to see. David Billings just out of the junior ranks and hasn't had a lot of experience under the gun, and it'll be interesting to see. The first shot looked like he'd been at it forever.
J.P. Muller shooting an 887 in the 4-game block to get here, and down Rob Bowman in the semifinal, and he gets a spare in the first frame by picking up that 10-pin. 160 bowlers started this Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters tournament, and we are now down to 2. One of these 2 will win a check for $2,000 and an automatic entry to the ABC Masters tournament in Wichita. Both players will be going to Wichita. There's another 10-pin for J.P. Muller. A little bit light, and that time he did not get the action off the wall that we saw a couple of times during his semifinal victory over Rob Bowman. 10-pin on the left lane, cross alley, and no problem.
Made it nicely.
First game of a 4-game match, and if David Billings continues his undefeated tradition, which has put him in the #1 spot going into this final, he will win his first ever Masters tournament. This is his first appearance. And a nice shaker there to get a double. A double to start the first game for David Billings. So J.P. Muller knows that he's got his hands full with this young 19-year-old Tiger. He told me before that before the match that his aspirations are to go on and bowl on the PBA Tour. Boy, what a nice pin action that was on that double for Billings to start out the first game. Long arm swing, put that one out a little bit wide, and it didn't quite make it back, and he leaves a 210.
Came in behind the head pin a little bit that time, and this is a lead that you see a lot nowadays. Back when the days when you were bowling 300s, Dean, you didn't see this kind of a setup. But with the lanes hooking the way they are, and the urethane ball that hooks more anyway, the ball comes late. It just comes in behind the pins, and you get these really weird setups.
210. And he went for it and missed both of them. Tried to slide that 2 over to the 10-pin. So David, working on a double there, cost himself really 2 pins by doing that. And whenever you're working on a strike, if you miss a spare like that or miss a split count, then it actually is twice what you missed.
That's right.
J.P. Muller on the right lane now, looking for his first strike in the final 4-game set, and he leaves it thin for a 2-8, and that'll be a tough one. Well, it's funny, you feel like you're lined up. JP went through a little bit of a struggle for a while in that semifinal match. He was fishing for a little while, but overall stayed lined up, and it's on the same lanes. It's the same championship pair, lanes 11 and 12, and JP has not put it solid in the pocket yet. Nice spare, though.
Nice cover.
Well, if you're wondering how they got here, first of all, we'll check out the replay of that nice spare shot.
Ball's got to get both pins, and it does.
J.P. Muller qualified 8th with 1,725 pin count in the 8-game qualifying. Then he beat Ken Jensen 920 to 850. Defeated David Larson 768 to 684. Jim Birch 929 to 875 as he carries another hit on the left lane. And he beat Lee Phipps 770 to 727, and then lost to our tournament leader, David Billings, by a score of 846 to 773. Ironically, David Billings beat both of our semifinalists during the match play.
That's right.
on the right lane. Ooh,
Whoa.
almost a solid 9-pin, but he trips it. Gets the action off the wall to get the 9-pin out of there. So he's struck in 3 out of the first 4 frames, David Billings. Watch this wall action on the replay of David Billings' 3rd strike of this match.
Well, we'll talk about his form a little bit. He has a unique way in the backswing. His wrist cocks, and he really gets a lot of revolutions on the ball.
Nice shot. Double up for David Billings. I think he's playing a little bit more direct than he indicated to me before the match started that he was going to. He said he was going to play the outside line and play the swing, but maybe once he started practicing on the 2 lanes, he decided to move in just a little bit because he's playing quite direct.
He has a little more speed than JP, too, and he cuts that hook down a little bit.
JP on the right lane, working on a strike, looking for the double, and he gets it.
Perfect.
Boy, we've had some outstanding bowling in this 1989 Masters event, and it looks like these two are going to go tooth and nail for this 4-game set. Here's the replay of that last strike by J.P. Muller, and it's right in the can.
That's a little more direct than he's been, too.
He picked up his speed, I thought, in that 3rd game when he shot against Rob Bowman in the semifinals. He picked up his speed, and it seemed to help him a little bit.
Ooh, that one's out.
But it came back and crunch. Maybe a foul line adjustment there, huh? Felt like it was going wide and cut off the speed a little bit, and it got back to the pocket nicely. So J.P. Muller now up with a 3-bagger.
And we can watch David Billings' backswing now. You watch the way he cocks his wrist. At the top of the backswing, it arches his wrist, and when he comes off underneath the ball, he gets an extra amount of spin on it. Watch the wrist right there.
Straight through the shot, light, and nearly left a pocket 7-10, but he kicked out the 7 to just leave a thin 10-pin. Hell, he wanted that shot because JP's put the pressure on again with a 3-bagger, and that was an opportunity for a 3-bagger there for David Billings, and now he'll shoot the spare on the right lane.
He'll shoot the spare from cross lane, and he will also not crack his wrist up, and he'll leave it open now, and that way it'll stop the hook, and he misses it.
He just pulled it, did not hook away from the 10, threw the ball straight and hard the way he wanted to, but he just flat missed his spot, and so an open frame for David Billings in the 6th frame of the first game. He has 111 through 6 frames, and he's now trailing by 15 pins, as you can see on your screen. Now trying to get started again. It's frustrating when you get those doubles and then you open. It's almost like you haven't gotten the double. He looks very comfortable on that left lane.
These young players today, Dean, don't seem to worry about spares like some of us old-timers. They know they're going to throw so darn many strikes that they don't seem to. I heard one say...
It's really a power game now, isn't it?
It really is. He throws this ball dead perfectly. It just comes up absolutely dead flush, and they are out of there. We were talking about spare shooting, and I heard one of the young players say to another one the other day, "Oh, spares are for women. Got to make strikes."
Well, speaking of strikes, there's another one for J.P. Muller, and he now has a string of 4 in a row, and he's right back in the pocket. He started out a little bit off here in the first game of the finals, but he's found his groove again, and once he gets in the groove, he seems to be able to string them.
Talking about spares, you know, if you make all your spares, you don't need to make quite so many strikes. But that's the old way of thinking, I think. These guys nowadays, they just throw strikes until you... Hard to believe.
On the left lane.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, it's high. He gets a lucky break and trips out the 6-pin on a Brooklyn hit.
Nice big smile on that one.
Well, those are the kind that you really, really enjoy, getting in the middle of a string. Now, obviously, JP doesn't like the way he threw this shot. He pulls it badly.
Hooks early and right across and carries it.
And that can sometimes ruffle the feathers of your opponent a little bit. Billings hits high and leaves a 3-6-10. Now, David has got the luxury here of, if he doesn't panic or anything, he's got a lot of time to get lined up and get his attitude together, because he has the luxury of losing if he if he does get beat in this 4-game match set, he still has 4 more to try to knock off Muller.
I'm sure that he would like to get it over with in one match. I'm sure of that.
He chops the 3-6-10, so spare shooting has hurt him a little bit here in the first game.
It's hurt him a lot. He's 3 opens in out of 8 frames, and all the rest strikes. He has not made a spare yet.
As you can see, down by 47. But remember, this is a 4-game set, so there's a lot of time to make up for that deficit. And again, he hits the left lane a little bit thin, but carries.
Something we might mention, Dean, through 8 frames, both the bowlers have the same number of strikes. JP has 5 in a row and 3 spares to go with it. David Billings has 5 strikes, 2 doubles, and a single, and he's down by a lot.
Watch the action he gets here. That's David Billings on the replay. He's hitting lane 11 very, very nicely. He seems to be a little bit frustrated with lane 12 right now. J.P. Muller, 5 in a row.
And he's hitting them both.
Pulled that a little, but it held and carries nicely. Now, when the bowler gets the feel, he can kind of feel whether he's going to be a little bit wide or if he's pulling it a little bit, and he can adjust his speed. It's a split-second thing, and not everybody's got that. That's right.
That's instinct, and that's the difference between the average bowler and the really, really good bowler. Back on a pro tour many years ago, Dick Weber used to have the ability to adjust at the foul line better than anybody I've ever seen, and just get away with murder and just throw strikes till you couldn't rest.
Going for 7 in a row, J.P. Muller, bingo. And so he equals what he did in the 3rd game of that, or the 2nd game actually, of our semifinal set when he finished with a 258. He started with a 7 in a row in that game against Rob Bowman.
The good news is he had 3 spares to start that game. He has had no opens, and those open frames he had in some of the earlier games are not going to happen to him this time.
Second ball in the 10th frame now for Muller. He has a possible 267.
Close.
Very close. So he has filled 2 frames in the 10th. He now has an 8-strike string going. He could finish with 9 in a row and shoot a 267 in the first game of our championship set.
Let's look at a replay of that last strike.
See this shot again here.
This is live action, and he does finish with 9 in a row. J.P. Muller with a 267, and that is our highest game so far in our televised finals.
David Billings needs to strike out in the 10th for 199 and put him 68 down if he strikes out in the 10th.
And even in a 4-game set, that's a lot of wood.
You bet it is.
First ball in the 10th, and he's really struggling on lane 12. He's high again and leaves the 3-pin. Now, the players so far have not told me there's a great deal of difference between the 2 lanes, between 11 and 12. You always wonder that when a player will hit one and not hit the other, but Billings is certainly struggling on lane 12. Goes with absolutely no lift and straight at the 3-pin.
A lot of speed. Gets some one of these days going to need those pins to jump out of the back end. And now here's something interesting, Dean, that you might want to notice. He's changing balls for his count ball on the 12th. He's changing to a different ball, see if it'll react a little differently.
Doing a little experimentation, and it worked. Well, he may end up using that ball on lane 12 and the other ball on lane 11. David Billings finishing with a strike.
It'll be interesting to see now what happens.
And a 179 for David Billings. We'll be getting a shot of that scoreboard in just a moment for our first game of our championship final, and there you have it. J.P. Muller with a 267 to David Billings 179. So the young 19-year-old has a lot of work to do. Well, you're fortunate again, champ, to have your son out on the PBA tour. That has to be exciting, and I know that he's got some insight into the game that he wants to provide to the bowling public.
He's had a very good career, and unfortunately when he gets back, he has a chance to do some of these little things for us, give us some tips and stuff. It's really nice to have.
So our second bowling tip from your son, Dave Husted, and I've lost my list. What is the second tip going to be about? I believe it is lining up on the approach, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
Okay, bowling tip number 2 with Dave Husted coming right up.
A lot of people ask me, how do you find your strike line? How do you know where to throw the ball in the lane to get a strike every time? Well, first of all, you're not going to strike every time, but there are ways to make the strike shot a lot easier. First of all, pick out your favorite spot on the lane. Mine's usually right around the second arrow. Next, you'll have to throw a ball or two to see exactly how the ball reacts. Now, the ball is always your guide. If the ball misses to the right, move to the right. If the ball misses to the left, move to the left. The ball is always your guide. Make sure that you watch the ball over your target and into the pins. Remember, everybody throws the ball a little different. Everybody's strike line is going to be different, but that's okay. Make sure that when you find your strike line, you zero in, key in, watch the ball into the pocket and over your target.
And without these people, we do not have this tournament. Any stretch of imagination, we don't have this tournament without them. And I want to introduce these people, and I'd like to ask Don Mattoon, who's our first vice president, our highest ranking vice president this year, and Roy Dash is our secretary, to come up and help with some presentations to these people. First, I would like to introduce from P&A Metal Fab Incorporated in Clackamas, the general manager, Greg Fragner.
Happy congratulations, Gary.
Thank you. Now, P&A, in addition to putting some money into the prize fund, is also offering a special bonus tomorrow during the TV show for the three guys on the TV, and I have not mentioned this earlier for this reason, but they will pay $1,000 if any one of these guys shoot a 300 game during the show tomorrow. So it's a little... From Fred's Travelrama, I want to introduce B. Leach and Wanda Willender. Our next presentation goes to somebody who has helped make this tournament what it has turned out to be for the last 5 years. He's given us a lot of input. He's turned over his bowling center to us for 2 weeks every year for 5 years. And I personally want to thank him not only as my boss, but for the first 4 years he wasn't my boss. But without Champ Husted and Milwaukie Bowl, the first 5 years this tournament wouldn't have grown to what it's grown to now. So, Champ Husted, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Most of you folks know that one of our prime sponsors used to work here for us, and now he's going to get $1,000, but he's also going to do the lanes tonight. Just one thing I'd like to mention, and that is this Masters format that came about 5 years ago was the direct result of Bob Wells' idea. There's Masters tournaments all over the country, and there used to be a state Masters, but Bob came to me back 4, 5, 6 years ago and wanted to know if I'd be interested in hosting this thing. And my comment to him was, you bet. And some of you know that I'm not absolutely enamored with some of the tournaments that the Portland Bowling Association runs and the way they run them over the years. So my comment to him was, I'd be more than happy to be involved in the Masters, but we've got to make it a class act, I don't want any part of it. And I think you'll all agree with me that Bob has done a hell of a job, and it is a class act, and we will continue to do it. Thank you.
Thanks. Without this person, we don't have the prize fund that we have. He's been involved with us from day one, and we introduce him every year when he bowls the tournament, and I've known him for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. And he's a class man, and it's a class company, and it's a class ham. So Tom Adams from Honeybaked Ham and his wife Darlene.
Oh. Okay. I hope everyone enjoyed their dinner tonight. I mean, it has been a thrill for our company to be involved for the last 5 years. I know when Bob came to me, it just seemed like an excellent format, and he still hasn't shown me a way that I can end up bowling more than 8 games in the tournament. I am really glad that when he shows me the sheet of how everybody finished, that he does have 2 pages, and it's a long page because too many times we're at the bottom. But I know I enjoy bowling, and I just hope it continues for several years. I plan on our company being involved as much as possible, and I hope next year it's even better than this year. And I think this year, I know I enjoyed it tremendously. And thank you, Bob.
Game. So I guess what you have to look at here, Champ, is that both players want to set it up for what promises to be an exciting 4-game final.
That's right, Dean. JP wants to keep his mental game as it is. Good concentration and being able to make the shots. David Billings wants to just get this over with, learn as much as he can this last game, so he's ready to go and not let that thing happen to him that happened in the first match. He was nervous in that first match, and JP got out quick, and David doesn't want that to happen in that last go-around.
On the 10-pin, first frame, and he missed it. Boy, we've seen a lot of missed 10-pins today.
If there's a shortcoming in JP's game, it is the fact that he doesn't concentrate on spares as hard. I've been watching him bowl for many, many years, and he does miss a lot of spares compared to some of the players. But he throws more strikes than they do, so it all works out for him a lot of the time. But he's cost himself some titles by missing spares.
David Billings, right lane. Crushing hit, but leaving the 9-pin. Now, how much frustration is he feeling? Because he's been in the pocket now for the last game and a half. He shoots a 190 last game. Sooner or later, he knows he's got to start stringing strikes to beat Muller.
And he has to know and keep it in his own mind that those are the kind of shots he has to make, and they will carry eventually. He's just got to keep making them, not trying to make a bunch of adjustments off of those really good shots.
Covers the 9-pin. Up with a spare in the first frame. Now, once again, for those of you that may be a little confused about the format, Dave Billings in double elimination match game play was undefeated until this very match, and that is why there will be another 4-game set between these two. Both players will have 1 loss after this match as Billings strikes in the second frame. So now with both players having 1 loss in the match games, then obviously the loser of the next match would have 2 losses, and the winner will win the tournament.
David came back with a very confident look on his face for that last shot. He liked what's going on now. I think he's going to do much better in this next match.
Muller on the right lane. And he carries a solid hit on lane 12. How about fatigue? Any of a factor for J.P. Muller?
I don't think so, Dean. These guys, you know, they strive to get to this position in the game, and he'll be tired when he's all through. But I don't think that fatigue. 12 games for him on a Sunday afternoon is not that big a deal.
On the left lane and leaving the 9-pin. Good hit. Solid 9. Ball just a little bit high, and J.P. laughing about it now, but you can bet he wouldn't be laughing if it was in crunch time in the finals.
He has the enviable position to be able to shake off some of these bad breaks. They're no big deal right this minute. That may change down the line, too.
Picks up his spare. You've had some pretty good champions over the years, Champ, in this tournament. You might want to go over those names.
Really have. 1985, Jeff Phipps, and he's the one that shot the 288 game on TV, and boy, I'll tell you, that was exciting. And then fell out of Sandy Lanes by the name of Tim Myers. In 1986.
Nice carry there by Billings, and he gets a double.
1987, Alan Stanford from Rose Bowl out. We'll watch this again. Watch him. He throws this ball just really well.
Any difference between this shot that carries and other ones that maybe didn't quite carry?
That's the thing. Well, that's the reason you don't want to make any wild adjustments. Just keep hitting that pocket, and eventually good things will happen, and you just have to be patient.
Double up for Billings. He's never had a string longer than 3, and he's got 3 now as he crunches lane 11 with a solid hit. So he started with a spare and then a 3-bagger here in the 4th game. And Billings obviously with no chance to win in this 4-game set, but if he can set up a nice foundation for the finals, he'll give JP something to think about.
You bet. 1987, Alan Stanford won the Masters. He's out of Rose Bowl out east Portland. And then last year, Steve Michaels from Pro 300 shot really good scores all the way through. And in 1988, he was our defending champion. This year, he did not make the cut. He had a really good first block and a really, really poor second block in the qualifying. And so he isn't among the top 32 this year.
I happen to know Steve because he's a Winterhawk fan, and of course that's my full-time occupation, doing hockey on radio for the Winterhawks. Quite a bowler. Now JP Muller left leg. No doubt about that. So he is maintaining his feel for the game here, Champ. He's certainly been in the pocket continuously. It seems like 95% of the balls have been in the pocket all day for JP.
He's bowling really well. I bet you'd be amazed at how many of our bowling participants, especially, are really strong Winterhawk fans, Dean. There's an awful lot of them that have season tickets.
Billings, boom, and he finally breaks the barrier. That is his first 4-bagger in the championship finals. Now this has got to be a big lift for this young man right now. 19 years old, competing in his first ever Portland Masters tournament, making the finals, and coming in seeded number 1. Getting off to a shaky start, obviously, but he's certainly coming out of it now. On the left lane, solid strike.
He says, I haven't been away forever, I'm back.
Now you get into a situation where the players are getting into that psyching stage, both of them wanting to set themselves up and giving the other player some mental messages.
Well, JP knows that David Billings can strike, and David Billings is proving that to him, and
JP answers, and again, as we've said all afternoon, Champ, every time he gets a challenge from anybody, earlier today it was Rob Bowman, and now David Billings challenging him, and JP's got the answer.
Sign of a true bowler.
Left lane, 7th frame, 4th game.
Flush.
Yes, carries the high hit that time. Well, both players are really setting themselves up nicely for the final 4-game set. David Billings on the right lane now has 4 in a row for the first time, looking for number 5. Yes, carried the 10. Now this is really helping David Billings because he's now starting to carry the hits, and he took your advice, Champ. He didn't make any radical adjustments. He's just stuck with that line that is starting to work now.
Well, you're that close. You just can't make any drastic changes because it's just the result that's not doing well, and you just have to be patient and keep hammering that pocket. Good things will happen eventually.
Now on lane 11. He's in about the 2nd arrow with that shot. He pulled it and got to Brooklyn. Got a smile on his face. He says, yes, maybe there's a few breaks down there for me this afternoon, as he pulled that ball badly all the way into the 2nd arrow, and both players are out near the 1st arrow with their line. You can watch this on the replay. Watch how inside he is. That ball rolling over the 2nd arrow, and going solid Brooklyn. J.P. Muller, right lane.
On a 4-bagger.
Just inside the first arrow and crunch.
Bingo.
Well, they look like a couple of machines now,
Well,
don't
they
they?
sure do. They've got it grooved.
Well, once
It's a
again,
good thing that JP does have a pretty good lead because David's coming after him. It's just the fact that there's too much ground to make up. But
another 4-game set coming up between these two, and it's going to be exciting. JP up with another strike, and he's now got a string. So both players are putting it on now. Muller's got a possible 280. Check it, 290, isn't it? Yeah, because he's...
David Billings has got the possibility. He's spare in the first frame and all strikes.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. That's David Billings with a spare in the first and all strikes, and he leaves the 10-pin. Okay. 10-pin in the 9th frame. J.P. Muller has got a string of 6 going after opening in the first frame, then a strike in the second and a spare in the third, and he's got 6 in a row. David Billings on the right lane at the 10-pin. And he gets the 10-pin. He missed a couple of those.
It's got a possible 269, and if JP goes off the sheet, he shoots 259.
Tenth frame. Left lane, David Billings. 4-pin, just a little bit high. So he has a possible 258.
Great confidence builder for David Billings after struggling those first 3 games. Now he's got it in his mind that he can bowl, and he's going to. I'm really expecting to bowl well this last match.
Picks up the 4-pin in a possible 258 game. And that would go with the previous games of 179, 215, and 190. So David Billings has gotten just what the doctor ordered here in the 4th game. And you might think this is not an important game because obviously had no chance to win. But when you look back on it, this could be a very important game for David Billings. 258 for David Billings in his 4th and final game of this particular match set. And the 2 players will now go at it 4 more games. J.P. Muller finishing out on the right lane. And he gets his 7th strike in a row.
Boy, when JP has gotten a string going today, he's made it long strings. He just gets multiple strikes. It makes it really tough on an opponent to try to combat that. He doesn't settle for a double or a turkey. He goes off with long strings.
If he strikes out, that 258, the Billings shot will be second best, as Muller has a possible 259 if he can get this one. That would give him, let's see, it would give him a 985 block. That would be second only to Billings' 987 that he bowled in the match games. That was the highest block bowled in the tournament. 259, J.P. Muller, and a 985 4-game set. Impressive bowling by J.P. Muller, and now we are all set for the finals. The 2 players will bowl again, 4 games. Winner gets the championship. J.P. Muller with a 259 final game to David Billings 258. And if that's anything, as a forecast of what we've got coming up, buckle your seatbelts.
Holy mackerel, this good stuff's going to happen now.
We'll be back with the finals of the 1989 Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters. The final 4-game set coming up right after this from Timber Lanes. Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters Finals, and we are now down to the nitty-gritty. It'll be J.P. Muller and David Billings in one 4-game match to determine the champion, and the winner will get $2,000 in cash and a trip to the ABC Masters in Wichita. Second place is $1,000 and the trip to Wichita.
Boys are just taking their final practice sessions. We had a little break here between matches and trying to get back loosened up, and just be a ball or 2 here and we'll be ready to go.
We want to thank our sponsors for our telecast. Honeybaked Ham, of course, the main tournament sponsor, and Fred's Travel Rama, Columbia 300, Miller Brands, Brunswick, and Timber Lanes, helping bring you this television coverage in one of the most prestigious bowling tournaments really anywhere, champ. I think that this is something that I used to bowl actively, very seriously about 10 to 15 years ago, and there wasn't anything like this then, and I think a lot of bowlers at that time wanted to see someone do something like this. So I think a lot of people deserve a lot of credit for putting this great event on.
That's true, Dean. I used to bowl some too back a few years, and we had a state match game championship, but we did not have a Portland Masters type format, and it's too bad we didn't, because it's a great competition and a great chance for these guys to get experience, and they can bowl. I'm telling you, they really make it interesting, make it fun. Yeah, one more sponsor that you neglected to mention, and that P&A Metal Fab out at Clackamas, and Phil Aronson, the owner, is here, and so is Greg Frogner, the general manager, and they've both avid bowlers and have participated for us, and it really makes it nice. We really appreciate it. And here goes JP. JP with his first shot, final match. There's no tomorrow.
Both bowlers open with a clean slate, and J.P. Muller starts with a strike. J.P. Muller just defeated David Billings in the previous 4-game set, 975 to 842. It was David Billings' first loss, and so now both of these bowlers have only one loss in all of the match game competition. So this is it. Someone's going to have 2 losses at the end of this in this double elimination tournament. Billings, right lane. And 10-pin just standing, and it does. Stand up and fight with that 1 pin easing its way across the lane bed.
David Billings missed a couple spares in that first match, and this is real important that he concentrate and not miss this one.
And the 10-pin was a guilty party a couple of times.
Made that one.
Cross lane, yes. So Billings up with a spare, first of 4 games. Total pins, scratch. Billings averaging 224. He's currently in 3 leagues at Sunset Lanes in Beaverton. He's had 3 300s in his career. This is his 8th year of bowling. He's 19 years old, and he came out of Tiger Bowl, where he bowled his junior, leaving split on the left lane, 4, 6, 7. So now Billings will take 2 and throw the ball hard and maybe get a break. No. So an open frame in the second frame for David Billings. Billings shot a 258 in the last game of the last set to set the stage for this final. He had struggled earlier and seemed to really be getting the range, but that split has derailed him temporarily as J.P. Muller on the right lane looking for that double. And he's in the hole. Bingo. And once again, Mr. Killer Instinct. J.P. Muller, as soon as the other player falters at all, he's right there. David Billings, regardless of the outcome, this is going to be a great experience for him. First time he's bowled in this tournament.
JP is ready to go, too. You can watch his whole demeanor. He is pumped and he is ready.
Finished 3rd last year in this tournament. Solid 8-pin. Wow. Shaking his head as he comes back.
Can't throw it any better. Can't absolutely throw it any better. The result could be better, but the execution of the shot was as good as you can do, and he doesn't want to make any changes and just do it over and over the same way.
2 previous games, Muller started with 7 in a row from the start and 5 in a row from the start. And came back to get the 8-pin. He sent that one wide a little bit, but covers the 8-pin. So now David Billings off an open frame in the second frame, up in the 3rd.
He's down 23 already, Dean, and he doesn't want to get in the shape that he was in last block when he was down early and didn't ever recover. He's got to get some strikes and stay in the match.
The thin hit nearly left the 5-7 split, and the 5-pin stays. I'll bet you that young gentleman does not leave very many 5-pins. Not with that ball.
No, that's for sure. That's a rarity.
And he nearly had the 5-7. Just lacked a lift on that last ball. He covers the 5 easily for the spare in the 3rd frame. So looking for his first strike in this championship match. 4-game set, total pins. $2,000 to the winner, $1,000 to the loser, and both players will be going to Wichita and trying to represent the state of Oregon in the ABC National Masters Tournament. Left lane. Good shot. Yes.
Dean, when they get to the Masters, the National Masters in Wichita, there's 480 players in that format, including all the professional players, plus state representatives from all over the country.
Let's watch David Billings' first strike in this final match. Boy, the 10-pin was buried with that shot. All right, J.P. Muller coming off that tap. In the third frame, the solid 8-pin on the right lane, and gets a bit of a break as he carries the 10-pin. So Muller has struck in 3 out of 4 balls. Now goes for the double on the left lane.
Watch how far Muller gets this ball out on the lane. He seems to be projecting it out just a little farther, delays the hook a little bit, gets the ball to roll really well, really strong.
Lanes have not been conditioned at all since the beginning of the tournament today. Now Muller pulls this shot and gets to Brooklyn. So that definitely puts a little bit of fly in the ointment of David Billings. You hate to see your opponent carry a mistake like that.
It's called thank you very much.
Especially for a double, you hate to see him carry a mistake. Now Billings down 33 as he stands on the right lane. Great shot for the double. That was a key shot for 19-year-old David Billings, hailing out of Beaverton.
Real important shot here. If he can get this turkey, get back into this game so that JP can't run off and leave him. He's still down by 23.
Carries it out on the 10-pin. That's almost the same shot he had on lane 11 last time, so he's put together a 3-bagger. J.P. Muller, who defeated the other semifinalist, Rob Bowman, in a 4-game set to earn the right to play David Billings, who was undefeated going into today's action. Muller, determination, stuffer. Oof. An explosive ball as he hit in about the same place where David Billings just left that 5-pin, and he just shattered those pins.
He wasted some power on that one. He didn't need all that power.
Watch this hit.
Watch him explode. He gets all the pins twice.
7th frame. Muller on the left lane carries the 4-pin. A little bit high, and he tripped out the 4-7.
Shot before that was a little wide and blew into pieces. This one comes a little high and trips him out. The marginal hits, the off hits for JP are falling, and that's what it takes to win.
Muller's been almost perfect in this first game. The only pin that has stood was that solid 8-pin in the 3rd frame as David Billings standing on the right lane. Working on a turkey of his own, but he came in high, leaving the 6-7-10 split. Ouch. That's tough when you got a 3-bagger going, and now you're looking at an open frame, and your opponent is working on 4 in a row. Cross lane, trying to get at least 2, and he gives it a pretty good run, leaving the 7-pin standing open frame for David Billings. He's now 131 through the 7th. He can strike out for a 221. 8th frame. That puts a little additional pressure on this ball, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and he has to keep his wits about him and be patient and just try to make good shots, not try to catch it all up in one ball, but he's got to just be patient and make good shots and hope for the best.
High again and disaster. Back-to-back splits, 6-7. Oh boy.
Shows a little bit of the inexperience, not taking much time on the lane, should really be slowing down and thinking about what he's doing, being extra deliberate.
Takes the 6-pin, back-to-back open frames as wide splits.
JP is pumped. He is ready to go. He's just excited. He wants to bowl. He wants to get up there. He knows exactly what he wants to do.
Every time he's been in this situation today, he has come through. He has a 4-bagger going. His opponent has just left 2 straight open frames. This is where killer instinct comes into play. And he's high and leaves the split. First time today that has happened. He has put away his opponent every chance he's had, and now he has a nearly impossible split conversion.
JP has had the luxury of bowling from the lead all the way through after that first match, and there's a certain amount of advantage in that, in the fact that you don't have that extra pressure of trying to catch up, and it would be interesting to see what happened if he would get into that situation, if he could continue that free and easy swing he has. I really feel he can today.
So now the left lane, Muller still with a handsome 44-pin lead. 9th frame. Would love to have something to build on.
Looks good.
Gets this one out. Yes. Might have set the other one just a little bit short, champ. You mentioned earlier that he was getting the ball further out on the lane, delaying the break, and that time he really got that ball out nicely. Solid strike.
Watch his projection, Dean, over the line. It'll be out there 3 or 4 feet. Well, we missed it.
Right in the hole. All 10 in the pit. David Billings' key shot. Oh, explosion. He got out of that ball well.
Says don't count me out yet, folks.
Billings got all the lift and all the turn on that shot, and he sent those pins into oblivion. Well, this is a key ball now for David Billings.
It really is. He needs to strike out for 200, and then pray that JP does not get a multiple strike so that it stays close.
On the left lane. Yes. Big shot. So now a possible 200 if David Billings can strike out in this 10th frame. Second ball. Muller looking at a possible 234. Nice shot. Good carry. Hits the wall shot. And that always helps your blood a little bit, doesn't it, when you carry one of those?
You betcha. He made 2 mistakes in this game and paid the full price for both of them. And that's going to be the difference in this game, it looks like.
Final ball, 10th frame. Every pin so important in this championship 4-game set. Bonus ball. Leaves the 7-10, gets the 10 out, and fills with a 199. 199 final score for David Billings in the first game. He shot an 842 in the 4-game block previous to this. He had a 258 last game. Now J.P. Muller has the foundation strike in the 9th. Possible 244, I believe, for Muller. I had said earlier 234. 244 is if he fills it all the way out, so he could take a 45-pin lead into the second game.
He liked the way that match prior worked, and he's just trying to duplicate that again, it looks like.
It's a lot more fun when you're the front runner. Carries the 10 again. Boy, he's throwing the ball well today. J.P. Muller, he's now in his 9th game, right? Out of the 12 games that he's going to have to bowl all in one day if he's going to go all the way.
With a couple exceptions, he had a couple mental lapses there and threw 2 bad balls back-to-back in 2 different games. Otherwise, he's just been flawless.
Final ball in the 10th frame. And he fills it completely up with a 244 and a 45-pin lead. for J.P. Muller at the end of the first game of our 4-game championship match set. Don't go away. Stay with us. We are going to be back with our second game of our championship match right after this from Honeybaked Ham. Back for game 2. J.P. Muller, first frame, right lane. Solid 8-pin. We've seen, what, 3 or 4 of those this afternoon?
I guess as often as these fellas are hitting the pocket, those things are going to happen. They've just been hammering that pocket unmercifully, and
right.
David Billings had already bowled a strike in the very first frame of this second game while we were away, and there's the spare for J.P. Muller. So Billings up with a strike in the first frame, and Muller marks with a spare. Second game, 4-game championship final. Muller with a 45-pin lead, shooting 244 to David Billings 199 in the first game. And Muller has been exactly where he's been all afternoon, and that is in command.
You bet, sure has.
Second frame, left lane, lanes 11 and 12 at Milwaukie Bowl, your championship pair.
Nose.
Bad ball by J.P. Muller. He pulled it way to the left beyond the headpin. Now, what would cause something like that after he's just been a machine all afternoon?
I think a mental block. I think he just went blank. He just went through the motions. It's really hard to explain, but he missed the headpin completely on the left side. That's
you just never see that.
Biggest mistake he's made all day. I guess the guy's due for one of those a week, but
now a tough spare, and he chops it. Very tough leave, and one you don't shoot every day. So
sure, one first ball error there. I think he just had a little mental lapse, fell asleep.
So now David Billings with a strike up has got a big chance to get himself right back in. This is a key ball for 19-year-old David Billings.
Made a good pass at it.
Boom. Well, that's what Muller's been doing to everyone all day, and Billings just did it to Muller. Muller makes the key mistake. Billings makes him pay with a double to start the second game. Watch this flawless form here.
Out over the line nicely. Back, flush, bammo. And David wants another one here very badly.
Could start with 3 in a row if he could get this one home on lane 11. Good shot. High a little and trips it.
That is a great shot for a loosener upper, Dean. He hasn't gotten many marginal hits falling his way when he needed them, and that one he did need, he did get. It's going to help him down the line. This ball was inside his line from the very beginning, and he knew it, and it just got there and tripped everything.
Muller on the right lane. Yes. Well, that's a key ball for him after making that horrendous mistake in the second frame. He gets right back on the beam and a solid strike in the third frame. Muller up 20 overall, thanks to his 244 to 199 victory in the first game. Billings is actually ahead of him here in the second game.
How quickly things can change.
Left lane, possible double for Muller. Yes. Well, he certainly put that mental blunder behind him in a hurry as he gets the double back. Now Billings, who just got, as you pointed out, a borderline hit to carry on lane 11, can take full advantage of it if he can hit lane 12, and he has been probably a little more comfortable on lane 12 all afternoon. It's been his stronger lane.
It's close.
Bingo. No doubt about that one. 4 in a row to start the second game of this 4-game championship set by David Billings. You're watching coverage of the 1989 Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters Championship Finals. Watch a replay of the last shot by David Billings. Perfect on lane 12. He's really getting the ball to set nicely on 12 for him.
Certainly is.
Lane 11, he's been a bit more tentative, but still in the hole consistently. No tentative ball there. 10 in the pit, and Billings has started with 5 in a row?
5 in a row, and he knows that if he can keep the hammer on him like he is doing right now, that just be patient, make one shot at a time, make them all good shots. JP is under the gun now. He just has to bowl well, and it makes it a different situation.
Fifth frame for Muller. Going for the three-bagger. Oh, 4-9 split.
Came just a little hard on the end. He threw it just a little soft, maybe, and it came just a little hard on the end, and he left in a 4-9. And this shot is makeable, Dean. If he can get the ball over in the area of the 7-pin and just catch that 4-pin thin, he can slide it across. It's certainly not a gimme by any chance.
Muller, experienced player, PBA Tour member for the last several years, but he missed both of them going for the 4-9 split.
And now we're going to have a situation where for the first time in 5.5 games, David Billings is in the lead. He has been behind from day one, right out of the box. For the whole afternoon, he has been behind. Now he's going to be in the lead. We'll see what happens now. It's going to change the complexion of everything.
Sixth frame, left lane, J.P. Muller. 79 through 5 frames in this second game. Muller strikes. So a key shot for Muller as he's scrambling really for the first time this afternoon. Well, Billings has 5 in a row to start this second game, going for 6. It's there. Yes. 6-bagger for David Billings to start the second game.
Here we go again, Dean. Remembering that P&A Metal Fab offers $1,000 to a bowler who can bowl a 300 game on the television show, and David Billings is halfway there.
J.P. Muller earlier in a match against Rob Bowman started with 7. Muller again started with 5. Billings going for 7. Carry. It doesn't go. Leaves a wiggling 7-pin.
And it has been the 7-pin that stopped every string, and normally it's the 10, and today it's been the 7 every time that the boys haven't carried.
Is there any Milwaukie Bowl history about 7-pins stopping 300s until today?
Gee, I don't think so. I think it's coincidence.
No mistake made on the 7-pin spare by Billings. He completes a string of 6 in a row with a spare in the 7th. He is 169 through 6 frames. Muller is 79 through 5 frames.
Might mention that to some of the fans out there that these guys, when they make a mistake, it's wide. It's not through the nose. When they...
Muller, good shot. Leaves the 10. Well, that's a big ball there because he had a strike up and he wanted that one very, very badly, and he leaves the 10-pin.
These are the kind of things that show up when a guy is bowling in a different position than having a 40 or 50 or 60-pin lead, Dean. Those marginal hits that carry when you're free and easy, and now we fit it just a little tighter, trying to be sure and get a strike, and then's when the 10 stands. Those things...
Muller relaxed to make that 10-pin spare, and that's one that he missed earlier, too. So now... really, for the first time all afternoon, Muller looking at a pretty good deficit, down by 25. Gets that one out nicely. 10-pin is there, and down it goes. That one came all the way across the pin deck to take the 10-pin out.
That's what we call the man in motion.
Big ball there by J.P. Muller.
Look at that replay. Roll it.
Here comes a shot of that strike.
Watch the head pin go to the wall. Over to the wall. Here it comes back. Bingo.
Billings trying to get the string started again. Leaves a fast 8, the 4-7. Just a little bit high on that hit. Perhaps not quite getting the extension on his follow-through that he had been getting earlier, and leaves the fast 8, as they call it. 4-7, he'll go right at it. Hard for the spare. Well, Billings has made up the 45-pin deficit that he got himself into by losing the first game 244 to 199. He now leads the overall match by 23 pins. Left lane.
Good shot.
Yes. So Billings strikes in the 9th, and that's so important to strike in that 9th frame. Now Muller with a strike working. Pretty big shot for him now. Well, they're all big in a close match
They're
like
all
this
big,
now.
but they're important now that he matched the strikes that Billings throws.
Working for the double. In the pocket, carries. So there's his 9th frame foundation. He has 2 in a row as he goes to the 10th and a possible 209. I'd like to thank our crew. They've done an outstanding job, I think, this afternoon. This is our 11th game that we've covered, or 10th game that we've covered out of the 12. And hope you're enjoying this bowling coverage. Muller on the left lane and another ringing 8-pin, and he does it on a double.
There was a chance to get 10 back, and he couldn't have done any more than he did. He throw the ball as well as he can throw it. The result was poor, but you just can't do anything better than that.
On the 8-pin spare, no mistake, he'll go to the bonus ball in the 8. By far his lowest game this afternoon.
2 open frames.
In the previous 4-game set, Muller shot games of 267, 234, 215, 259 for a 975 4-game set. On the head pin high, leaving the 3. And he finishes with a 185. So Billings with an opportunity. He's got that foundation set with the strike in the 9th. He can punch out for a 267 and not only overcome the deficit that he had going into this game, but take a pretty good lead into game 3.
JP bowling from behind for the first time in the afternoon, and it has changed his fluidity and his...
Chance to put the hammer down by Billings. He set it wide. 2-4-5. Well, you know he's upset at that because he knows that he could have really put Muller in an uncomfortable position if he could have at least got that one in the 10th. 2-4-5 and not a gimme. Straight at it. No chop. Gets the spare.
Strike for 247, Dean.
Well, we're all set. The stage is set for tremendous bowling here down the stretch. Each player's had 1 good game and 1 off game. Billings hits high, leaving the 3-6, and he'll finish with a 245. 245 for David Billings in the 2nd game. And this is awfully close. Muller with a 245 first game, 185 second game. There's the score sheet. 245 for David Billings to go with his 199. He will carry a slim lead into the 3rd game of our championship set. Well, once again, we're going to get another word from PBA member David Husted, Champ's boy who's out on the PBA tour, and another bowling tip. This one's going to be adjusting to the lanes with David Husted.
One of the most common errors the amateur bowler makes is that when he or she rolls the ball down the lane, they don't watch their ball roll over their target. That's similar as in golf. If a golfer doesn't keep his head down and watch the ball when he's swinging, he's going to miss it. In bowling, you must watch your target. That way, if you do miss to the right, you'll be able to move to the right on the approach, make the proper adjustment. Or if you're missing to the left, vice versa. You'll be able to move to the left, make the proper adjustment. Remember, always watch the ball roll over your target, down the lanes, and into the pins.
Game 3, championship finals, 4-game set. David Billings now with a 15-pin lead. He has 444 through 2 games. J.P. Muller 429. J.P. Muller will open on the left lane, game 3. Cumulative pins, scratch, 4-game set. Left lane for Muller, hold it, and leaves the 9-pin. A couple of times he's let it get away on the left lane.
Yes, he has.
Muller, experienced player, finished third in the Masters last year. He has been a member of the Professional Bowlers Association for 5 years, and he does own a PBA title.
Just about let that spare get away from him, too. I don't know if that was careless or whether he just didn't pick the spot he meant to, but he just about ran by it. That'll make him think next time he has a spare to shoot.
Billings on the right lane, coming off a 245 his last game to overcome what was a 45-pin deficit. On the right lane, stuffer. So Billings off to a good start in the third game, first frame, getting the strike to start.
He can remember being 100 pins down in this position last match, and he just does not want any part of that. He wants to get something going here and keep the hammer down, and I expect him to bowl really well now for the rest of the way.
Started with a string of 6 last game from the beginning, now working in the second frame.
That's good.
10 pin. Didn't quite finish. Maybe a little extra speed. The 10 pin stood.
He's changing balls for his spare. He's been doing that pretty much now through the rest of the afternoon. He changes to a ball that's a little harder, doesn't hook quite so much.
Throws it hard with no fingers, no wrist. Straight at the 10 pin. Well, Billings has not made any mistakes. He hasn't missed any spares. He's kept the ball around the pocket the first 2 games. The only problem he had in that first game was a couple of wide splits.
Right.
Muller on the right lane. Spare up, second frame. High, carries the 4.
Got away.
7 pin, came over and tripped that 4 pin. So Muller with a strike up. 15 pins separating these 2 outstanding Portland Bowling Association members.
Ball comes up high on this replay. Ball comes up high. Pin goes to the wall, trips everything out. Bingo.
Third frame, you know Muller is thinking double. He's thinking string, just like he put together earlier today, and he gets a solid hit. Solid strike in the third frame. So Muller now, with that double up, puts a little bit of heat on David Billings. Billings bowling for 8 years. He's only 19 years old, averaging 224 in league. He's had 3 300s in his career, and he hits lane 12. So now Billings will look for the double on the left lane, similar to his opponent, J.P. Muller. Muller was able to get that double moments ago on lane 11.
It's important he get one here. Otherwise, he gives back the advantage he has, and he does not want to do that.
And he knows Muller's propensity for stringing strikes. He's seen it happen too many times today.
Scare a normal man to death. Every time Muller gets 2, he gets 6.
High. Oh, what a break he got there. Turning disaster into a strike. The 4-6-10 was up.
That's called
momentarily, and they all went down.
That's called the Great Escape.
We'll see if we can get a replay on that hit, maybe after J.P. Muller.
Right through the middle, absolutely dead through the heart of the pins, and they all go down somehow.
Domino theory. Now Muller live on the right lane.
Another shot exactly like it. Exactly like it, except for the result.
Less speed on that ball, perhaps. It's the only thing that looked different about it, as it just cut through the pin sharply, leaving that big 4 split, the 4-6-7-10. And
it was on a double. It'll cost him extra because, and then he missed them all.
Now that's the mental mistake you've been talking about a little bit, a lack of concentration, perhaps, frustration.
We've got a replay of David's reaction to that strike. Roll it.
Watch the reaction to Dave on this shot. And now we're going to watch him, and he knows it's a little high. Oh, yeah.
We'll take that one. We'll take them all right now, he says. Well, Muller's on the ropes now. After that big 4 split, he needs to get back in the swing of things, and he does on lane 11. True champion. Now that was a really rough thing he did on that big 4. He needed to take at least 2 there, because this match is so close.
Coming back off that split, then he throws it absolutely dead flush. Perfect. Sign of a great bowler when it doesn't let those things bother him, when they get right back and make a good shot afterward.
Billings trying to take advantage of that hit that he just had. Oh, look at this. A pocket 710. A pocket 710 for Billings after he had just carried the high hit on 11.
Threw it very well. It's one of those things when once in a while a 7 stands and once in a while a 10 stands, and in this particular case they both stood at the same time. Really bad break.
He'll take one. I like his composure for a 19-year-old. He just came back and took one. Didn't even look real frustrated at it. And that kind of a hit can get to you.
It sure can, but these guys are, they've done it before, and they know that there's nothing you can do about it except try to make a good shot to follow, and it's just a bad break, that's all.
Left lane, Billings trying to get back on. Carries the thin hit on 11. So now J.P. Muller on the right lane, given a little bit of a breath of life by that pocket 7-10 split that David Billings left. Muller working on a strike. Down 23 overall.
Billings has got to feel good, Dean. He's thrown every ball in the pocket, and he hasn't got all strikes, but he's been awfully close. And
Bingo. Super shot by J.P. Muller on the right lane, leaving little doubt. So now he's got the double again.
That was a key shot on 12. He had just come off of a double pinochle on 12, and it makes the guy think, what'll I do to correct for that? And he just went out there and made a good shot, and the result was just like it should be.
Muller would love to get 3 in a row here. Working on a double, left lane, high, 3-6-10.
If you remember back to the first match, he had real problems making this spare. Any combination of these pins up, and he just about picked any one of them, missed it. So
I wonder if he's thinking about that. He hasn't left any of these against David Billings. As I recall, it was all against Rob Bowman, our first semifinal match.
I think he's going to miss this one.
Ooh, he pulled it and got away with it.
He picked it the hard way.
Yep. The ideal way to pick that spear is to hit between the 3-6, and that was his target, and he pulled the ball, but he hit to the left of the 3-pin, and they all carried. So Muller has 115 through 6. Billings, 7th frame, working on a strike.
Can pick up 10 pins if he can strike here.
Nice shot. Oh, that was a pretty ball. That's a big double for David Billings. Billings leading by 15 going into this game. With that double has now extended that lead.
Let's look at that replay. Roll it.
This is flawless.
Perfect.
All right, back to live action on the left lane. Dave Billings, 26-pin lead, can extend it to 36, but he put it out wide and it didn't get back. He leaves a very difficult 2-8 spare combination. Well, he didn't want to leave that.
Here we are again.
Now, this is a tough spare.
Here we are again with a sleeper, pin right directly behind the 2-pin, and the ball has got to stay right side of the 2. Looks like he'll carry it nicely. Oops!
No, it came over and chopped it.
Hooked away.
Chops the 2-8. Tough spare to pick up under pressure. You get all in the groove and you've got that strike line down, and then all of a sudden you've got to change. Working on a spare on lane 12. And he's high again, and he leaves the same thing.
Same mistake.
3-6-10. Well, now you're starting to wonder if maybe the pressure is starting to affect both bowlers.
He's been consistent. When he makes an error, it's been the same one.
You wonder about the lane conditions changing just a little bit. There could be some subtle changes going on that both need to adjust to just a little bit right now. And he chops the 3-6-10. Well, he made the mistake in the last frame and got away with it, but that time he pulled the ball again and didn't get away with it. So now, the best that Muller can do is 200.
The best that David can do is 212.
No matter what happens, it's going to come down to that last game.
It sure is. Going to have a barn burner for the end one.
9th frame. He needs a strike desperately here, and he pulled the ball and gets away with it with a Brooklyn. Muller gets a solid Brooklyn on lane 11. That's a big break because now he can go into the 10th frame with a strikeout. Well, if you tally up hitting the pocket, this gentleman has certainly out-hit his opponent in the pocket. David Billings has been there most of this championship final. Right lane.
Ooh.
Just as I say it, I must have put the whammy on it. He went way wide on that shot, and he leaves. Ironically, the same split conversion that Muller picked up earlier against Rob Bowman with 2, 4, 8, 10.
After I told you that it was almost impossible to make, Muller made a liar out of me and made it. Now we'll see what David can do.
2, 4, 8, 10. He would have had to get it off with 7 pins only in that 9th frame. He's now looking at a 189 maximum. That's if he strikes out here in the 10th. And we are really in a match now. The lead is down to 14. Left lane, 10th frame, 3rd game. Rushing strike. Sent a message to the pins with that one.
Spent all afternoon watching them bowl, and now we're going to get down to the final game is going to be a barn burner.
19 years old, David Billings is growing up this afternoon at Milwaukie Bowl.
Been bowling for 8 years, and he's getting about 8 years experience here in a couple hours.
Left lane looking for the double, and he's high and doesn't carry, leaving the 4-7. So now he's looking at 179. Muller with a strike up in the 9th, and remember, it was a Brooklyn hit that carried, and that could be a very, very big ball in this championship competition because he can turn it into a 200 if he strikes out. Billings for the spare, finishes with 179 in the 3rd game. So he is 623 through 3. Muller trying to take advantage of that huge break that he got in the 9th frame. Making a mistake and getting away with it now on the right lane. Big ball. And the result.
Crash. Perfect. Dead perfect.
So he takes advantage of that. Brooklyn in the 9th gets the double. Has a possible 200. If he does strike out, champ, if he does strike out, he'll have a 6-pin lead going into the final game.
About as close as you can get it after all this bowling in this afternoon, and we're right down to 1 mark difference between the players.
Muller looking for 3 in a row. He's there, leaves the 10-pin, not quite finishing there. You noticed on the replay on the last shot, the ball cut sharply into the pocket and carried the 10. That time it just didn't quite have the finish, and the 10-pin stayed up. So now he's looking at a 189 possible if he picks up this 10-pin. He's got the 10-pin. 189 for J.P. Muller. And he shoots 618 for the first 3 games to David Billings 623. So David Billings has a 5-pin lead going into the final game of this 1989 Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters Tournament. All the games, all the qualifying, and everything's going to come down to 1 game. And I guess that's the way it should be.
I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, is down to the nitty-gritty, and now we'll just see exactly what can happen. Just see who meets the pressure the best.
We'll be back for that final game and a thrilling conclusion to this tournament after this from Fred's Travel-Rama. All right, here we go. Final match, and as the afternoon has progressed, look at the crowd that has gathered here at Milwaukie Bowl to watch this final game. David Billings against J.P. Muller for all the marbles. Billings 5-pin lead on the left lane. Leaves a 2-5 in his first shot.
With a ball that hooks like his, he's going to... This is a tough spare, Dean. He's got the 2-5, and the ball is hooking away from the 5, no matter where he plays it from, and he's going to go hard and straight right at it. I bet he wouldn't like to shoot this very often if he didn't have to.
Billings with that hard black ball, straight at it and covers the 2-5. spare for Billings in the first frame. Now J.P. Muller has been the front runner all afternoon, has run into a bit of a roadblock here in the final match, the final 4-game set. He's had to scrap from behind a little bit. Trails by 5 pins as he stands up for his first shot of the final game.
Tend to go through the nose.
And he carries it. Carries the 6-pin Brooklyn in the first frame.
They're going to be calling him lefty if he wins this thing, because he's thrown some key shots that have turned into multiple strikes over the whole series of the match. And they've been Brooklyn. They've had 4 or 5 of them.
Here it is.
Just
a big break.
Inside his spot. Never gets out as far as he wants it to, but it comes back. If you make a mistake, I guess if you can make it big enough, it comes out good.
Left lane trying to take advantage and turn it into a double. Again, he does. Carries the shaker. Thin hit.
2 marginal shots in a row.
You wonder if you could read the mind of David Billings now after watching those 2 go.
What's going on here?
Billings is shaking it off every time. He's gone through some tough times this afternoon, weathered some storms, and certainly matured.
Let's think about this game. There's no defense, so you just have to go out there and just do your best and not let those kind of things get to you.
Beautiful strike for Billings. Great shot on the right lane, so he has his first strike of this final game. 20 in the first frame. Muller up with a double. Billings comes through, shaking off the frustration of watching his opponent carry 2 marginal hits, and look at that.
Dead flush, perfect.
Billings left lane. Another one. Beautiful shots.
He says, take that, JP.
Unbelievable maturity shown by this 19-year-old player from Beaverton, Oregon. I'll tell you, that's tough to do when your opponent has just carried a couple of hits like JP did, and then not only does Billings respond with the double, but he responds with an in-your-face double. Muller going for 3 in a row. Wants to put it in the hole. He's got it there. Bingo. Oh, this is fun, champ.
Take advantage of those lucky ones now and get one that's not so lucky.
This is fun. 3 in a row for Muller to start. A spare and a double for Billings.
See how he projects this out over the line. He gets it out there 3-4 feet.
JP likes this. Now he wants to duplicate on lane 11. He wants the same shot. He pulled it. It's high, and he's going to leave the 4-6-7. And we have our first major potential break of the final game. Muller's looking at almost a sure open here, and Billings has strikes up.
Important that JP get 2 of these.
He does. So Muller opens in the 4th frame with the split. He has 85 through 4. Billings with a double up can put an awful lot of pressure on J.P. Muller if he could get 2 more here. Got to get them one at a time. Right lane. Yes. Boy, he's throwing the ball so well. He was a little light with his first ball, left the 2-5, and the next 3 have all been right in the hole. Once
like
again.
He threw this out just a little farther, but watch it come back.
Golly, he's got nice extension, doesn't he?
He really does.
Beautiful extension on that follow-through.
Young junior bowlers out there watching him bowl, just pay attention to his arm swing and his delivery. It's just really good.
Going for a 4-bagger.
Hold it.
Does he get away? No, the 4-pin falls, but just out of range of the 9. The 9 stays. Well, he would have loved to have had that one, but he still got the first one to take a little bit of command in this match because of Muller's open in the 4th. Now he does not want to make any mistake on this spare. 9-pin should be no problem. So Billings with 99 through 4, and Muller with 85 through 4. Billings started this game with a 5-pin lead. He's now extended it to 16, I believe. Should be a 16-pin deficit for Muller as he stands up on lane 12, the right lane, 5th frame. 19, excuse me. Muller, right lane. High again, and that's a devastating split at this juncture. Already down by 19. That is a real tough time.
Eased up on 2 shots in a row. Paid the full price on both of them.
Takes 2. So back-to-back opens for J.P. Muller.
JP has got to start making strikes now, and they've got to come one right after the other, or it's going to be over, because they just have to be there from here on out. I expect Billings to throw every ball from here on out in the pocket, just as he has all afternoon. He just doesn't make those mistakes, or very few of them.
Muller needs something to build on left lane. Yes. He didn't get the 10. I thought that was going to carry, but he left the 10 pin. Well, the one thing about David Billings, he's young. He hasn't really been in this position before. He now controls his own destiny. He will win this tournament if he bowls to the best of his ability now. He will win the tournament. Muller has opened the door. But Billings has not been in this situation, in this big of a tournament ever in his young bowling career. There's no reason to believe that he won't be able to handle it, though, the way he's bowled here in the last several games.
I fully expect him to throw every ball from here on out awfully close to his pocket.
30-pin lead. Just needs to keep the ball in play. And that is in play. Great shot by Billings. Well, he can really deliver a crushing blow if he can get this one home. A double here would really hurt JP.
Flawless form.
He's going to get tight. You'd think that he'd be tight now, and there was no evidence of him being tight on that shot.
He's got a little lead, and he knows that, and he just trying to make good shots now and take what happens, and it's been working really well for him.
Thin hit and carries. Put the hammer down, says David Billings. He ran that one out all the way across lane 12 into lane 13 and just triumphantly put his fist down as he carried that thin hit, and J.P. Muller is in trouble. Well, you got to admire what this man has done to get here, though.
You bet.
A lot of good bowling this afternoon by him, and he's still not out of it as he crushes a strike on lane 12. Well, he's just got to string some now and hope for the wheels to come off David Billings. That's the only way for JP to get back in it now. Muller showing that classic form.
Excellent shot. And he must do that now from here on out and then pray.
Left lane, must ball, must strike. Does not get the 7 out. Boy, he had about 4 pins flying around that 7 pin and nothing hit it.
Seems like when the pressure gets on and you really need those marginal off hits, they just don't, you're not as freewheeling, you're not as loose, and you don't get that pin action that you so desperately need.
Muller needs a spare. 7 pin, no problem. 134 through 7.
Billings is up, ready to go.
He could just about close him out with this one. He's working on a double.
And he knows that a couple more strikes is critical, and he can pocket his first major championship.
Leading by 40. Double up. Good shot. Wow. I think we have a new young lion coming out of the Portland Metropolitan Bowling Association, huh?
Can't do it any better.
He needed the strike, he knew it, and he gets it. And that just about did it. It's going to take a major faux pas now for Billings to lose his first title. Left lane.
It's close.
Oh, a spinning 8-pin. Almost left the ringing lead again and did a full 360 and went in the pit.
JP gave him a little touch on the hand, saying nice bowling. It is over.
So your 1989 Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters champion, 19-year-old David Billings from Beaverton. JP just bowling it out now, leaving with 3-6-10. Well, it's got to be frustrating a bit for JP Muller. He finished third last year. You knew that he thought this was going to be the year. The way he came out and bowled Rob Bowman so tough, because in the first match he had all he could handle.
You know,
Makes the spare.
The fatigue factor I don't believe is there for JP, but the keeping mentally sharp for as long as it takes to bowl 3 matches, it's tough. You just very difficult to stay up and stay really intense for that period of time. There's a couple breaks in between, and those things take too, and it's really difficult. You have to admire him. He's done very, very well. It's just really tough.
Nice ball on lane 11. So he has a chance to fill it up now. Like to go out with a strong finish. Could finish with 201. And a possible 819, but it won't be good enough. Boy, we've had some excellent bowling today.
Really have.
Another strike on lane 11. Muller has averaged nearly 220 for the 12-game semifinals and finals. He bowled 12 games in one day and averaged nearly 220, and it's still not going to be enough. That's tremendous bowling.
It really is.
Good finish, and he deserves a standing ovation from this crowd at Milwaukie Bowl for some excellent bowling. J.P. Muller really turned him on today, but just didn't quite have enough in the end to defeat this young champion, David Billings, who will wrap it up. Comes in high and leaves a big 4, and it won't make any difference. If you're going to leave one, that's the time to do it.
He says, I really don't care.
Let's get out of here, get my check, and give me my plane ticket to Wichita. Finishes with a 231 in the final game. 231 for David Billings and an 854 4-game block to defeat J.P. Muller's 819 in the finals of the 1989 Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters. And so $2,000 and a trip to Wichita for David Billings, and $1,000 and a trip to Wichita for J.P. Muller. What an outstanding afternoon of bowling, champ.
Absolutely. We just got to see a little bit of emotion out of David Billings, too. We finally got a little crack of a smile, and it's a big relief for him. He's the happiest young guy I've seen in a long time.
Well, I know some of his compadres told him he couldn't do it, and whenever you do what other people tell you you can't do, that's a real satisfying feeling. There he is, David Billings, smiling and getting congratulations from his family that came here to watch him in this final event. It started out tough for David Billings. He had to really weather a storm, and when you're inexperienced and young and things start out poorly, which they did in the first 4-game set against Muller, he made a decision to go to that other ball, got lined up with it, and made the great decision and the adjustments when they counted, and he is our champion.
Made a lot of good shots. A lot of good shots. Okay.
All right, we will be back, I think, with the final check presentations to our winners, and we'll be doing that as our coverage of the 1989 Honeybaked Ham Portland Masters Championship Finals continues right after this. The event gets better and better every year. And I'd like to present now the tournament director, Bob Wells of Milwaukie Bowl, to make some award presentations. Bob?
Thank you, Dean. On behalf of Milwaukie Bowl and the Portland Bowling Association, I would like to introduce Phil Aronson from P&A Metal Fabs, who was one of our tournament sponsors, and call our third-place winner out here, Rob Bowman, for Phil to present his third-place check. Phil? Rob? There you are, Rob. Congratulations. Thanks very much. And then our second-place winner, J.P. Muller. J.P.? And this check will be presented by our Vice President, Don Mattoon. Okay, and now we want to bring our tournament champion out here, David Billings. Congratulations, David. And presenting the check is our first Vice President, Tom Alt from Portland Bowling Association, and Secretary Roy Dash. If you'd get the trophy back there and bring that up to him. Yeah. Here you go, David. Big trophy. And we'll turn this back over to Dean.
Thank you, Bob. It's certainly an honor for me to stand here with three fine bowlers who put on a tremendous show this afternoon. David, just a quick comment. Was there any point in that championship final where you felt like you gained control and really put it away?
Well, after the third frame, I knew I had to start striking, and felt smoother as I was going through the game, so I felt like I had a good chance. I just tried to shut him out, and I did.
You're excited, aren't you?
Yeah, very excited.
David Billings, his first title, first major title, and he is one proud bowler this afternoon. Well, it's been my honor. I'm Dean Vroman. I've enjoyed doing this. I'd like to thank Champ and everybody that has made this such a fine telecast this afternoon. Thank you for watching, and I understand the great people at Honeybaked Ham have already decided to sponsor the 1990 Masters, so we're all looking forward to that event.